And this year's batch is extremely nice. So we got a really good batch of raspberries.
So the Crowler purchase is going to shake things up for you guys, though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm hoping.
So are we?
Absolutely.
So are we talking about special releases now? Potentially brewery only releases versus what you guys have available in the retail market.
Yep.
What's going on with that?
So the awesome thing about the Crowler.
Sylvia, you were too slow. Sorry.
The awesome
That's all
part
right.
about
I'm getting
Crowler
some
is
anyways.
You can put whatever we have on draft in there. So the rattlesnake can go in there. These one-offs or one.
So the bartenders are going to be filling the
Yes.
Crowlers.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not going to pre-fill. I don't think. Market may tell us we have to pre-fill, that kind of thing. So, but
well, I mean, just considering about how the times are changing and how people are delivering beer nowadays, it's kind of going to a Crowler system. For example,
absolutely.
Sigma, they just released a fruited ale. It's called Intermezzo. Probably my favorite beer this summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, but you can only get it on tap or Crowlers to go.
Right.
But it brings that another segment of people that are either busy, they don't have time to hang out, but I want to try this beer. Go in, get it.
And the shelf life's better, and that's why the Crowlers are getting to be very, very popular over Growlers because you actually have longer shelf life. So if you go in and you want to get this because, hey, this is the only time I get to go to this brewery for the next month, you don't have to drink it right away. You can actually wait on it for just a little bit. So I think that helps a lot with that. And plus, like he was talking about earlier, if you want to go to the beach, go on your boat, whatever, you don't want to bring glassware, you got a can. You got a Crowler. So there you go.
I think they're here we go. We got giggles again.
You got 5 nipples again.
I was about to say.
What did my caption say? Nobody's laughing at that.
But the cool thing is now you eat growlers and crowlers, so you have both the best of both worlds. Because there's still some advantages to the growlers. You can reopen it. You don't have to drink.
Exactly.
So,
you don't have to.
But you got them both. Or soon will.
So
excellent.
Leave it open to the consumer. What do they want?
And I look forward to after the show reading all the captions that Adam Smasher's putting on our photos.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, I don't know. I personally like Crowlers because they're, on the move. They're easy to stack, much more organized. You don't have to worry about banging up something because it's not going to break. You're good.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's really the same argument that you have for cans versus bottles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Just on a larger scale.
Absolutely.
I don't know. To me, that's just my personal preference. I can't speak for everybody in the market, but that's certainly...
It seems to be taken off, though. I mean, if you look, and especially because, first of all, the time I've been here, there's been a lot more breweries popping up in Houston. A lot of them have Crowlers, and that's how they're moving a lot of product outside of the tap room as opposed to Growlers. Most all of them these days are going after the Crowlers.
Absolutely.
It almost seems like anybody with a beer wine license is doing it now.
Yeah,
truth.
Or
should.
Absolutely.
Nobody's got it back up and running right. Legislation trying to kill it. And,
Yeah, because for a little while it was, in beer wine license spots. Then there was some confusion with the law, but now it's back.
All about the label. It's all about the label and how they can tax you and collect that revenue and how they have proof to collect that revenue. That's all it's about. That's every word of it right there.
So money.
It's
always money.
It's money to the state that I don't think anybody should have to pay. Why should they,
But aren't we the only state?
A license is? You know what a license is? It's the government taking away your ability to do something and then selling you the rights back.
So I was curious, do you have a feel for what percentage you send out and what percentage you sell in-house?
Right now, we're about 50-50.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow, that's saying a lot. With the 30-barrel system, you're selling half of it in-house?
Yep.
Skipping all the tiers?
Exactly.
Wow.
Well,
nice.
And in the amount of time I've been there, I've seen how that's shifted. Because I was delivering. I saw the delivery workload ramp up as we have brought in other drivers, especially after I went to the back. And it's pretty crazy to see how much our outside sales are growing, and it's awesome. It's great. And initially we had a lot of people coming into the tap room because they saw it on the way, whatever, drove past it. Now instead of people saying that, they're like, "Oh, I had your beer here. I wanted to come check out the brewery."
Right.
We're becoming more of a destination, which which helps the tap room in turn too.
So what's your strategy to try to stay competitive? Because there are a ton of breweries in Houston now. I think we're at 46, 47. I think my numbers are skewed.
That's crazy.
And, if you're not selling beer in 30 seconds online, there's this false interpretation that, I don't know about them. You kind of fall into this middle zone. So what's the strategy to stay competitive and to stay alive in this crazy
So I think there's a lot of that middle zone that gets looked over. And I think there are a lot of dedicated, loyal beer drinkers that like that middle zone.
Heck yeah, they do.
So I don't know if I want to consider myself the middle zone because
you are the middle zone, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
So, but the beers we put out there, I feel are approachable. They're not over the top. They're not gonna, be the crazy. They're not going to go out of style next year either. So.
Classic styles, clean, balanced.
That's the niche I like to ride.
Yep.
Yeah. So
can see through.
Yeah.
So is there
absolutely?
Are there any breweries that you guys are that you look up to, or that you look and I'll ask both of y'all separate questions because. There's always someone that you're like, I kind of want to be like them, but not really be like them, but you kind of look up to them. They inspire you. Yep. Is there anyone in Houston that does that for you?
So kind of starting out, no doubt, we were following the Carbach pre-buyout, because they were doing it. They were killing it. They were hitting it with 3 or 4 beers.
Man.
3 or 4 beers. They were just in there. They were in their zone. They were quality. And
I can't tell you how many rodeo clowns I've had.
Exactly.
Right?
Hopadillos.
Yep. It's one of the first Texas beers I had when I moved down here.
So, we followed a lot of their model, quote unquote, if you would, as far as getting beers out there, and it's like, hey, put a good, consistent, quality product out there. And
has that changed now since they've kind of quote unquote sold out?
I think their model was sound.
I think the model
apparently is very sound.
Very sound.
It worked, right?
Several millions of dollars worth of sound.
Yes.
So
sound with the dollar sign.
Exactly.
Are we going to hit that ever? No. But I don't have any delusions of being that next crazy thing or whatever. But what I do want to do is put out good, solid beers all the time. Have people come back to it. It's like, hey, no, this is cool. I know this. It's good.
Yeah.
Are there some styles that you're thinking about maybe adding to the portfolio? Maybe even some of the kind of the hype styles, like
no glitter, please.
Maybe
please, no glitter.
I don't even acknowledge that as a style yet. I mean,
that's for your food.
But I'm not. But are you? Have you done a New England IPA?
Yes.
Kind of.
Okay.
You claimed it as one. It counts.
All right. So and I have some with us here. I haven't busted out yet.
Yeah, we did actually bring that beer with us.
Yeah. Cool. You want to go on that one?
So, all right. Traditionally, the main thing about the New England style is essentially that instead of doing your hops during the boiling process or after your fermentation is done, dry hopping, you actually hop during fermentation. But whenever anybody does this, they don't bother to try to clarify it because I guess apparently it can be a hard thing to do. So we decided to try this and still clarify it. So we did. Respect. And it actually worked out pretty well because the interesting thing was when we first hooked up some of the first kegs we packaged, they were still fairly hazy, but then by the time we got to the second or third, they were clear. Just as clear as defying gravity. But you get in different flavor profile because of when you're adding the hops. But you also have to be extremely careful because it will react with the yeast. And we knew this ahead of time, thankfully. So as we were adding the hops, we literally had a 30-barrel batch in a 60-barrel fermenter. So a ton of headspace in that fermenter. We only added literally a 9-ounce cup worth of hops, which is nothing in terms of what we were about to add, and shut it in and left it alone. Came back to it. The Croydon rose halfway up that headspace.
Blew the top.
That's what we were afraid of. So that's why we only added that little bit. So nonetheless, though, and we also were playing around with some new hops, and it was a lot of fun to do, and it turned out really nice.
Is this it right here? Is this what
yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is
Don't be afraid of the haze.
That is brilliantly clear.
Don't be afraid of the haze.
Well, and so the other thing with the haze too is
appearance is not everything.
We're all still learning about this too. I mean, I'm still new to understanding the style too, but a lot of places will add lactose, milk sugar, and that'll add to the haze a little bit, but also it's a lot of mouthfeel. That we did not do.
Yeah.
So
thank goodness. I'm so tired of lactose right now. I'm lactose out, lactose intolerant, and I'm just not going to deal with it.
So,
All right, so brass tacks. Okay, so brewing your beers. Is there? Do you have any thoughts about Ron Heisgebot? Do you have any thoughts about always clarifying your beers?
How you liking that raspberry beer?
Raspberry beer's pretty awesome.
Well, I mean,
what I see is I see a lot of clear beers, and I like that because what that shows me is patience and letting the beer determine when it's ready, rather than saying this beer is going to be ready on this day. That's what that's what it looks like to me.
And so many people drink with their eyes. You know,
Absolutely.
whether they're looking for that haze or whether they're looking for not that haze. You know,
Well,
whatever.
I'll tell you what my perspective was always that the beer told me when it was ready. I never dictated when the beer was ready, and it drove John freaking mad because he's like, dude, we've got to get this.
We did have orders.
It's not ready, but
we're trying to maintain taps. You know,
it always seemed like right about the time it clarified, it made this turn. And it turns into this beautiful thing. You're drinking it the whole time. You're like, yeah, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. And right about the time it clarifies,
Eureka!
It
goes
turns
amazing.
into this beautiful like artwork, and then you're like, okay, sell it.
Well, and there's a lot to go along with that. I mean, for instance, this past winter, it was actually cold enough. We had some stuff not stall, but we had to actually wait it out because we had to get through rest periods. We had to get through that, and we needed beer. But we had no choice because we're not going to put it out a bad product.
Ales, though, right? All your beers are ales, no lagers.
No. We've put out a few lagers, and we have some in tanks right now as well. So some good summer stuff coming.
How do you maintain your lagers?
We're on a glycol chilled system. And
glycol chilled. Do you have a scope? You scoping your yeast?
Yeah.
You're scoping it all the way through.
Yeah.
God, that's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
We know that, and we do know the limitation of our system. So
I love ales, and my thought is we don't even need lager yeast anymore. They perfected ale yeast.
Nope.
No,
disagree.
We've put out only really one lager so far. The second one will be coming soon.
We did the Schwartz.
Oh, there's the Schwartz. Yeah. I can't believe I forgot that.
That's
was
one of my favorite beers.
Yeah.
Which got no love.
Yeah. Texas didn't.
Was it a German style?
It was, and it was a black lager, and Texas doesn't quite know black lagers yet.
Schwarzbier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was fantastic.
It was
underappreciated at most, man. Seriously.
Yeah.
But it's a nice change too. I mean, it's nice to be able to do that, and especially style wise. And everybody wants to be able to do an Oktoberfest, right? So you got to be able to lager every now and then.
You can do it with ale yeast. You just got to lager it. Lager a Yale.
You can, but I've done it on homebrew setups, and I mean, I can tell you, at least with my experience, didn't taste the same. Did not taste the same. But again, that's my experience. That's my experience.
Because brewing techniques are everything, and
they are.
You can take a yeast that's meant for one temperature and use it for another one and get completely different esters.
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
ester profiles are only designated on the temperatures that they give you, and you can alter those by using different temperatures in your fermentation.
Oh, absolutely.
But I know that because we were supposed to use a European yeast for almost everything that we brewed, and the American yeast was better. It was better. But it made more sense. But it was everything that I'd ever done was always European.
But if you brew
lager,
if you brew an ale or a Oktoberfest with an ale yeast and a lager yeast, I'm going to tell you the difference between them.
Maybe. That's all I got to say.
I've tried them. I knew it pretty quick. But again, a lot of it can go into style. And plus, I mean, but at the same time, when you talk about doing that to see what kind of different esters you can get, if you haven't done it before, you're playing with something new. And especially now, when you talk about the scale we're on, not worth doing that on a 30-barrel setup. If we know the consistent results we're going to get,
it wasn't even worth it on a 7. We always use our pilot system for everything new.
Yeah.
Well, and and the pilot systems are great because you guys were talking about before, any new styles coming out, that's what we get to use to play. I mean, especially me personally, because obviously the recipe designs usually start with Kris. So when he lets me or our QC guy, who's now leaving us, R.I.P. Carson, we love you. He would give us ideas and just be like, hey, come come up with some, styles that we haven't done yet, come up with a recipe, and that's our way to play in the back. And that's a lot of fun. And also, people in the tap room appreciate it too, because they know they're the ones getting their hands on it, because it's only 15, 20 gallons worth of beer.
What's the size of your?
It's a 20 gallon. It's a 20 gallon.
Question was about that.
Yeah, it's a 20 gallon. So I mean, in terms of what we actually end up putting out, it's really only about 15. But
right.
That's still enough for like a brewery only tap. Like,
and you do it on one night, and you do it on a busier night, and talk about it. Especially via social media, hype it up.
Hashtag hype.
Yeah, and we're getting
brewery exclusive.
It's about $700 worth of revenue.
That's the beauty of the brew pub license. No label approval, nothing. Just sell it, give it a name, sell it.
Start cranking